What a difference 8 years makes. I'm Michael Smerconish in Philadelphia. Trump 45 took office as an outsider, unfamiliar with how to work the levers of power, and surrounded by a team with whom he was largely unfamiliar. Trump 47, he hit the ground running, this time with an agenda and the support of loyalists who he knows well. The trip to North Carolina and California yesterday to survey catastrophic weather capped a dizzying week that would have fatigued most younger than a 78-year-old commander-in-chief. Future presidents will be expected to do likewise or risk being viewed as too passive. On Inauguration Day, presidential historian Tim Naftali noted here on CNN that the previous record for first-day executive orders was set by President Biden. It was 9. Trump signed 26 on day one. He rescinded 78. But apart from the pace of change, very few surprises, actually. Think about it. Birthright citizenship, DEI, only 2 genders, a pause on TikTok, a recommendation to end FEMA, withdrawal from the Paris Climate Agreement and WHO, elimination of the policy encouraging EV development, federal workers forced back to the workplace, border enforcement, a halt to the NIH grant-making process, the threat of tariffs, renaming the Gulf of Mexico and Mount McKinley, pursuit of Panama and Greenland, even removal of security for John Bolton, Dr. Fauci, and Mike Pompeo. You might not like these initiatives, but he told us he was going to do these things, or they were in keeping with his campaign persona. Speed was the only surprise. I don't know how much of it holds up, where he's acting by executive action and not with the authority of Congress. I note that a Reagan-appointed judge has already stopped enforcement of the attempt to end birthright citizenship. There's plenty of controversy in each of these orders, but only one area where I see potential political peril for President Trump: the pardons. Here are the numbers. Let's do a comparison. Joe Biden, in 4 years, 8,064. Donald Trump, in less than a week, 1,740. Barack Obama, in 8 years, 1,927. George W. Bush, in 8 years, 200. Trump reportedly decided against a case-by-case review for the J6ers and literally said, "F it, I'll take care of them all." That was a mistake. And according to the Wall Street Journal, it represented a change in his thinking. Quote, "This is a rotten message from a president about political violence done on his behalf, and it's a bait and switch." Asked about January 6 pardons in late November, Mr. Trump projected caution. Quote, "I'm going to do a case-by-case, and if they were nonviolent, I think they've been greatly punished," he said. "We're going to look at each individual case." He told Sean Hannity this week that most of the J6ers were absolutely innocent. That's not true. Among those who've pushed back against Trump, the very judges most involved in the cases. First, Judge Tanya Chutkan. She oversaw the 2020 election interference case. She said the dismissal, quote, "cannot whitewash the blood, feces, and terror that the mob left in its wake, and it cannot repair the jagged breach in America's sacred tradition of peacefully transitioning power." Then there's Judge Beryl Howell, who was the chief of the D.C. Circuit Court at the time of the riot. She said there was no national injustice here. Trump also said that the J6ers had served a horribly long time. If the premise was that 3.5 years behind bars was enough time, he should have led with that. But trying to claim innocence won't wash with anybody who looked at the videos objectively. And he runs the risk of having this decision dog him during his presidency. 4 reasons. First, it's just wrong on the merits. Second, the data suggests there will be recidivism. According to the U.S. Sentencing Commission, nearly 2/3 of violent offenders have been rearrested within 8 years of their release when you look at the historical data. Third, consider the personalities involved. Enrique Tarrio and Stuart Rhodes, they're not going to go quietly into the night. Already each has been all over the media. Here's the Proud Boys leader last night, right here on CNN.
I don't see it as what I'd done anything wrong. I was improperly indicted. I do see it as a miscarriage of justice.
And in the case of Rhodes, the Oath Keepers founder accused of orchestrating the events of January 6, his first stop after prison, it was Capitol Hill. A judge had to issue an order yesterday to bar him from entering Washington, D.C. again. And finally, the J6ers will feel emboldened, and so too will those who support him. Jacob Ware, a Council on Foreign Relations research fellow, said this move is going to make combating terrorism far more difficult, not just over the next 4 years as groups feel they have an ally in the White House, but beyond that as well. No surprise, then, that the largest police organization that supported Trump in all 3 of his elections released a statement saying crimes against law enforcement are not just attacks on individuals or public safety, they are attacks on society, and they undermine the rule of law. Allowing those convicted of these crimes to be released early diminishes accountability and devalues the sacrifices made by courageous law enforcement officers and their families. So, was it a week 1 misstep?